This is going to be from Weil, W-Y-L, Mormon Portraits, 1886. These are the testimonies of Sarah Pratt. I'm going to start on page 72. The other intended victim who escaped the prophet's clutches was high-spirited Mrs. Sarah Pratt. She stoutly repelled his repeated approaches. Though she had to pay the penalty for refusing to consecrate her honor, she has ever since been hated and slandered by the Mormon leaders. Joe threatened her if she divulged to her husband or anyone else what it proposed, adding, "If you do, I will ruin your character. I will deny everything, and the church will believe me and not you. My standing in the church must be upheld at any cost and sacrifice." Well, we've heard this before. These words don't just come from Joe. He kept his word. He tried to starve her and her children. He used all his influence against her, even the leading mob demonstrations for that purpose, and abusing her from the pulpit. He caused evil reports to be circulated about her and tried to make her an object of detestation as an apostate. Brigham Young took up Joseph's course in this, as he did in everything else, and tried to rob her of her modest property in Salt Lake City. We've heard this story before. The support of herself and a family of small children, mostly sons, whom she had reared to man's estate and who would do honor to any community. Her husband, Orson Pratt, who became under the influence of polygamy as coarsely selfish as any other polig, went so far in his abject slavery as to join the prophet Brigham in his attempt to defraud the victim, his wife, his own wife, and the mother of his children. In my earliest interviews with Mrs. Pratt in January 1885, which gave me the first insight into the pernicious workings of a system invented by impostors and carried out by outlaws all the way through. This is Sarah Pratt confirming something Bennett accounts. Bennett says, shortly after I located in Nauvoo, Joe proposed to me to go to New York and get some plates engraved and bring them to him so he could exhibit them as genuine plates of the Book of Mormon. Okay, so he goes on. He intended to exhibit these. I mentioned this proposition to Mrs. Sarah M. Pratt, and mentioned this proposition, asked her to keep it in memory as it might be of much importance. When asked by me in the spring of 1885 about this statement of John C. Bennett, Mrs. Pratt confirmed it fully and stated also that Bennett had reported to her this conversation with Joseph on the very day when it happened. All right, page 33. One evening, Dr. Bennett called at my house and asked me to lend him my husband's rifle. This was an excellent arm brought from England by Orson Pratt. It was shown to be the best rifle in that part of the country. I asked him what he wanted the rifle for, and he said, "Don't be so loud, Rockwell's outside. Joseph wants it. I'll tell you later." I suspected some foul play and refused to give him the rifle, stating that I dared not dispose of it in the absence of my husband. Bennett went away, and when the news came that Governor Boggs had been shot and all but killed, Bennett came and told me that he had wanted the rifle of my husband for that job, and that Joseph had sent him to get it. I have not the slightest doubt that Joseph had planned and ordered the assassination of Boggs. Page 52. Violet Kimball, the apostle's first wife, an honest woman, told many things to her intimate friends. She used to say that her house in Nauvoo was a regular deposit of the spoils of the Gentiles. It was a favorite spot with the Mormons to rob the stores of their enemies and to consecrate, special Mormon words here, it's not stealing, it's consecration. Consecrate and the spoils of the Gentiles. Mrs. Kimball had in her house innumerable pieces of calico, muslin, etc., generally of the length of 50 yards. I know it to be a fact that our people used to go out at nights for the purpose of stealing the wash from the lines of the Gentiles in a circuit of 20 miles around Nauvoo, Sister Violet used to say. And so will John D. Lee and some other honest Mormons.